It is the Mike Calta Show. It's 102.5 The Bone, 727-579-1025 or 1-800-771-1025. Make sure you check out not so live gig number 2. Our show, along with comedians Jim Florentine, Devin Siebold, Ken Miller, Kyle Roos, and J.B. Ball will be performing at the Polk Theater in Lakeland on Friday, May 19th. Tickets are available now. They start as low as $10, and a portion of the proceeds go to Folds of Honor, where we are giving money to an organization that collects money so that they can provide education for the kids and families of veterans. So come on out and hang out with us and do a little good by simply just buying your ticket. For Thursday, Spanish will be out in Safety Harbor for a pub crawl. It's 420.
That's right.
You potheads can go out there and drink a little Sweetwater 420 with him and have a great time. Maybe run out to Spanish's car, sit there for a little while and tell stories. You know what you guys do. Our next guest coming into the studio, his name is John Alite. Remember him?
I do remember him.
I like him. One of the better guests that we've had on the show.
Very interesting.
Yeah, he is a guy who was friends with John Gotti Jr. He grew up in the mob lifestyle. He has committed a lot of murders, which he confessed to, and he shot a lot of people. But now he's been on the well, I don't know. They say he's been on the up and up. I'm going to find out what he's been up to. And he goes around and he's a motivational speaker now, anti-bullying, which is fine because he's very menacing looking. And if he showed up at my school and said, "Don't bully," I'd be like, "Okay,
right.
I don't want to bully anybody."
He's bullying you and do not bully.
He makes me nervous. Go get him and bring him in the studio, please, Spanish. This is John Alite. I wonder why these guys, they aren't afraid to get whacked after they start talking about people.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me ask John. Look how smooth he is. That's why. Oh, you brought backup this time. Good. I don't know what to say. How are you doing, my man? Sit down. Have a seat. John is here. And, John, I was just asking, how is it that you're not... I know you're not afraid of nothing, but how are you not afraid to get just turn on the key one day and the car just explode? Is that just movies?
No, actually not. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
So, somebody from the New York Times met me and he was talking to me about it, and he says, well, he says, it's no big deal. He said, at the end of the meeting, I go, do me a favor, start my car.
Do you worry about that?
Yeah, I mean, everything's, I don't worry about it, but everything's realistically could happen. So, it's just part of it.
Henry Hill, which is a big difference between the two of you, because Henry Hill was just like a low-life nobody who they happened to make a great movie about. But Henry Hill was like, I'm not afraid of anybody. They're all the guys who wanted me dead are pretty much dead or locked away anyway. Nobody cares. But I always thought somebody to avenge somebody else would kill Henry Hill just because he's the one that got popular because of Goodfellas.
Yeah, I mean, Henry Hill wasn't that, he wasn't an active, violent guy. So,
right.
When he talks like that, obviously there's a lot of tough guys on the street still.
You're a legit tough guy. I know that because I asked you about killing people, and I go, "What are you?" Sure, you were like, you just bash their heads in with something like that. Was your answer? You were so casual with it. I have to tell you that I got a lot of fallback from having you on the show last time. Yeah, there are a lot of people that were like, "Oh, he's lying. He didn't tell you this. He didn't tell you that." John Gotti this. I said, listen. John Gotti is very welcome to come on this show and tell his side of the story. If he wants to, they declined our offer. So for now, I'll stick with your side of the story.
Yeah, thank you.
The one that doesn't seem to be afraid to talk. Now, for people who didn't hear you the first time, because I think, were we doing mornings or afternoons last time John was on? Because it was a little while ago.
It was mornings.
It was mornings still? Okay.
It was in morning.
So, John, they say you got into the mob lifestyle with your uncle. Your uncle took you to a gambling place?
Yeah, my uncle ran a gambling place since I was a little kid. So I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I was.
So you were always around it?
Yeah, I was around since I was a kid. And the boss in the neighborhood at the time was his son, Albert, was a good friend of mine. And he was the boss in the neighborhood before he went to jail. Then Gotti Sr. took over the area.
Now I grew up around it, but I was never cool enough, I don't think, to do it. Like, I did a couple of things where they'd go, hey, take these and mail these for me, or give this bag to this guy, don't open it, and it was money or whatever in there. Nothing big. And they'd throw you like $5 here and there, and I felt cool. But they never trusted me with the good stuff.
Well, I wish I was doing what you were doing.
Yeah. You had a little. What was the first bad thing that you ever had to do?
I mean, I did a lot of little things before the first bad thing, but the first, serious thing was a shooting of a couple of Jamaicans that robbed Gotti's drug dealer. So Junior had a partnership with this kid Gabbett, and they beat him up and robbed him for their drugs.
The Jamaicans did.
Jamaicans, yeah.
But see, that I think I could do if you told me that the Jamaicans beat up our friend and took his money, then I wouldn't feel so bad about it, I don't think.
Well, I feel bad that I helped them. At the time, I liked them, so I wish I let them.
Right? Yeah. But back then, you were like, "Let's go kill these goddamn Mullignans." Something like that.
Yeah, well, what you're doing at that time is you're looking like young kids do now. They look to make a reputation for themselves, and so now I'm the guy some of these younger guys want to make a reputation off of because they figure if they do something with me, they get a name. So
right.
It's just insecurity, young guys, they don't know any better, and that's. Part of the life.
At what point did they ask you to do something where you were like, man, I don't know if I want to do this? Do you remember the first thing? No, you were just a killer out of the gate.
I never said that I didn't want to do it, actually. And, I wanted to be involved. So, if you want to be involved, you're actually looking for people to say, hey, go do this for me.
Yeah.
You're kind of like a good puppy dog trying to run around and do your tricks,
So now, what year is about that senior takes over? This is somewhere I was in
85
grade school. Oh, I was a sophomore. Okay.
Yeah.
So now, they tried to put a hit on senior after he killed Paul Castellano. That family tried to fire back and kill senior, and that backfired.
Yeah, well, one of the guys they hired to do exactly what you were talking about, blow up a car. He wasn't an active mob guy. He was associated with guys, so he really didn't know what he looked like exactly. Mm-hmm. And he hit the then acting boss, Frankie DeChico, who was very popular in the Gambino family. And,
so he hit the wrong guy? Or?
Well, no, he hit one right guy.
Oh, okay.
But he didn't hit Senior. He hit a guy that was with the Lucchese family that he thought was Gotti Senior, and which he ends up living anyway, the guy. But he thought the two guys were Gotti and DeChico, and he presses the button, blows up the car, and hits one wrong guy and one right guy.
Jeez. Now, this is what I remember. When I was a kid, there was a place. So my mother worked at a travel agency. In the back of the travel agency, there was a room where they ran numbers in the back. And then there was a place next door to it called Paul's Sweet Shop, which had been there since my mother was a little girl. And the mob now owns the whole strip. And they try to put a hit out on Gotti Sr. It goes wrong. They get the hitman. They shoot him in the face, and they throw him in the basement of Paul's Sweet Shop. Right. This is where I grew up. This is like average, That's why when I see these things, I'm like, I'm not so fazed by it. But when I was a kid, I loved it, though. Yeah. I really did. I was removed from it, but I loved just reading about it. It was real, like, movie stuff happening.
Yeah, there was a lot of plots against Gotti Sr. People don't realize how many times he was, guys plotted to kill him. They got caught on tapes and wiretaps and were locked up, and different incidents. And there was a hit where gas pipe was going to hit Gotti Jr. back in '92, and that foiled, and he got lucky because gas pipe was a serious guy with the Lucchese family. He was one of the bosses there, and so these sometimes you get a little luck in your behalf, and he was no guy to fool with. So
if your junior is back in the day when you guys are friends, is there any kind of life to live to know that you could just be taken out just because of your father, because somebody's trying to get even with your father? Like, how do you get up and enjoy your life every day?
By calling guys like me to stay with him.
Yeah. So who are his regular guys around him? You and how many guys?
Three major guys, really. It was me, Bobby Borriello, who was also hit because of the Castellano murder.
Right. They
killed him in front of his house in '91. And another guy, Charles Koenig, his brother was Johnny. That actually, he's one of the guys that asked us to put a hit on Junior for him while he was in prison. So he was one of the shooters of the Paul Castellano murder. So
wow,
he surrounded. The father was smart. He surrounded him with some of us that were violent. Obviously, protected him and legitimized him as a force within the Gambino family.
And you don't live with him, right? What do you show up in the morning? Is somebody always sitting out front or outside his house?
As a kid, you're not realizing what you really, how serious things are, because you're young. You just go about going to work as if you came here. And if I didn't show up, we're supposed to be at the club daily. We're supposed to be with him daily. When wherever he goes, we're with him. And if you didn't show up, the next day or that day, you'd have one of Gotti Sr.'s brothers knocking on your door saying, "My brother's looking for you." And, you started realizing that it's a 24-hour job. They want you there, wherever he is, you're going. and you realize the seriousness of the position you're in. You know?
Now, what kind of pay is this? Is this good enough? Like I found out with the Secret Service made, I thought I'd never take a bullet for the president for that kind of money. Can't say that word. Yeah.
Back that last word up. And,
you said there's a basic BS salary.
They'll throw you a bone from somewhere. Whether it's Shylock money or it's a shakedown from some location. But a lot of these guys, you're better off getting a regular job. A lot of these guys, not what people think. They have no money.
Yeah. It's not making its way to you.
Yeah, what makes you powerful, really, in the mobs, if you're an earner yourself.
Yeah.
Which, obviously I was in the street business.
What was the best? What were you doing? Shylocking? Were you taking bets? What were you doing?
We're doing all that, but, the money's where it is. It's in the drug business, although everybody says we don't sell drugs.
Yeah.
We all sell drugs.
Yeah.
So, that's where the money's at. And
but I see drugs, though. It's a great opportunity, but you're always going to get it in the end. It'll always catch up to you. If the bigger you get, the more likely they're going to come get you, and the pinch is not worth it.
No, well, down here in the trial in Tampa, because we're in the Tampa area, one of my co-defendants was Ronnie One-Arm Trucchio. He was a captain of the Gambino family. And
why did they call him One-Arm?
Yeah, he only had one.
Was he born with one arm, or did somebody cut it off?
No, he had an accident.
Oh, he did?
As a kid, yeah.
Oh,
and so he had the one arm. But his opening statement, actually, and out here, I guess you guys can get the actual statement. He does it himself. And he says, because he knows Gotti's already an informant, and I'm in Brazil Penitentiary. His opening statement out of trial, he does himself, is, I'm a Gambino, I'm a captain in the Gambino family. I'm a bookmaker and a loan shark, but I'm not the killer. Johnny Alite's the killer and the loose cannon. He's John Gotti Jr.'s partner in the drug business. So that's, his opening statement. It's not mine. It's his confession, and, again, if that's not a rat comment to make, I don't know what is.
Put it on a guy who can't defend himself.
Right, and I'm in another, country, and then they already gave up John Gotti Jr. because they knew he was ratting, which is okay, that part. But allocuting to being a made member is ratting, and allocuting to the existence of the Gambino family is ratting. So, I don't know where this gets lost in this narrative between all these guys. But,
right.
They thought it was okay for all them to be informants, and and then when I came forward,
you're a rat.
I'm a rat.
Yeah. So, so last time you were here, you were telling us that John Jr. was in fact an informant for the FBI, and that was kind of the way he was staying out of jail, was by turning other people in. And I have since seen documents that have his name on it.
Well, he did his own YouTube. I don't know if when he admits that he ratted, it was up for about 3 or 4 weeks, I guess, and he thought better of. I guess he was in panic mode, and he admits that he ratted, and he admits he what they call queen for the day, and then he says, "Well, I never went on a stand against anybody, but either did Whitey Bulger, and either did Willie Boy Johnson." I can list
right.
If his dad's alive, he'd drag him up and down the street and kill him. I mean,
that whole Whitey Bulger thing was the first time I really realized that happens. That big time guys make strike deals, and then the government lets them operate and do what they got to do, as long as they get other people that they turn in.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the big guys that cooperated against us was a good friend of ours, Kevin Bonner. He was here in Florida. He got locked up. He did 27 years with the state, and he testifies against Gotti, myself, Ronnie One-Arm, all of us, and he's an excellent witness. He's well spoken and he's truthful. So when he does testify, he just finally got out after about 20 years. But he was one of the guys that was with Gotti Jr. when he kills a kid at Silver Fox when we were children.
Right.
And now he's a witness. He comes in and he's given all this information, yet he's the guy that takes John Gotti Jr. home from that murder. And John Gotti Jr. never gets locked up for that murder.
Oh, wow.
So that's why he became the informant. That's part of his documents.
Yeah.
So, when a guy's with you on a murder, and he's a great, witness, and he informed on all of us, and he took the stand, let somebody else explain why this guy's not charged with that murder. But, he does, like I said, he did his own YouTube that he ratted.
Yeah.
Cooperator.
I think I saw still pictures, little clips of it, of that.
Yeah, he took it down. I've always asked for it. Why don't we put that back up? So see that. So,
I believe last time we was here, we established you did make sweet love to his hot sister at one point when they were younger.
Well, they're on that kick with that too, and I actually said I never did that.
Yeah.
I just said that we were together, and whatever happened, and it's not like, again, we were 20 years old at the time. It's not really a subject that I really talk about and breach.
Yeah.
I mean, they seem to be bent on that stuff, and they changed.
Oh, everybody loves the drama. They want to hear about the sex. They want to hear everything.
Well, I think that one of the reasons they chased me like that, or this Chris Casparosa is, he's a flunky public relation guy for John. Gotti pays him $200 or $300 a week to chase after me. I mean, I did a radio show. I don't know if you know Wildfire Idiots, it's called. It's like a comedy radio show down in Atlantic City. And the kid calls up a week later, and this is his job for Gotti's to constantly
go there and go against what you say.
Well, he gets paid. It's not going against. I don't know what he does. To be honest with you, it's like a dog doing tricks.
Right.
He's got no shame. He's a grown man. He's an adult, obviously in his 30s. But that's his one job. And the other job I heard now is he works with John Travolta. He's his new massage therapist.
I got you.
So he's bent on talking about my sexuality for some reason, and maybe he wants me to join him and Travolta and Gotti in some sort of.
I got to tell you, you're a good-looking guy.
Yeah, I mean,
you're holding up pretty well. Yeah,
I'm not I'm not homophobic. If these guys want me to join them in a sex party, I'm good with it.
How long were you in jail?
I was in jail a long time.
How long before you had to do gay stuff?
Oh, after the gay stuff, most of these guys, like I guess, like Chris Casparosa, he's really curious. I know he's bi-curious.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what made him do that therapy.
Boy, when you were in jail, how long was the longest stint?
And this last one I just did 10 years. Yeah.
Oh, it's 10?
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm trying to think. We always ask people in jail how long before you let gay guys do stuff to you while you're in jail. Like I don't know, 10 years. I think I could hold out if I knew it was only 10 years.
Oh yeah,
I don't know, maybe. How long did you hold out?
Well, I'll tell you what. I was good friends with Mike Blutrick. He's the owner of Scores, the original owner. He's an admitted gay guy that was very famous. He's the one guy that set up the Gambino for different people, and he's got a book out about Scores. And he's, they constantly knock him because he's my personal friend. But I have no, qualms with saying that this guy's my personal friend. He's gay. So this is 2017.
Yeah, if you can't
if they're so curious, I always say the same thing on a constant basis. Well, jump in. Come and find out what goes on in the bedroom. I mean, they're so curious.
Yeah.
But, I don't have, these guys got some insecurity issues. I mean, all the way across the board about being a tough guy. And people.
How many gay guys were there? Like you don't hear about that.
I never counted. I don't know.
No, but like now you look back and be like, oh, we know that Joey Buttbag was gay.
I don't. They said that about certain guys that was staying with the Gotti cousins. That was supposedly made. I don't really know the kid. He was a younger guy.
Right.
I mean, you hear these rumors, and what I say is, is the guy a nice guy? Was he garbage? Was he this? I never really cared what anybody's doing either way, with women, with men and women. Sex party. This stuff goes on, and whether it goes on, and it depends on who the person is. If they got the insecurities in their life, they talk about it, right? If they don't, unless it involves them directly, what do they care what's going on?
I'm always so curious. It's like I want to meet a guy and be like, that guy must be getting a bunch of ass, and then he leaves and somebody's like, he's gay. I go, oh, I had no idea. That's why I always want to know.
Mike, you're married. You better stop that.
I am
kids.
not. Yeah. Now, am I saying your last name wrong?
How do you say it?
Alite.
Actually, it's pronounced in Albania. It's Alite.
Alite.
And here in America, they used to say Alite in the neighborhood, and it really is Elite.
Right, okay.
So, so you do pronounce it.
I heard you say Alite, and I'm like, all this time
myself.
I'm saying it wrong.
Well, you know what? Depends on who I'm talking to.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I didn't say it. This is John Alite. He is a former Gambino associate. He was a friend of John Gotti Jr. He worked for the family. He's an admitted murderer, but he's a guy who's turning his life around. Now you do speaking engagements. You're out there anti-bullying.
Well, one of the things I'm trying to teach kids is the reality of life. So you got to be honest with it. And some of the stuff you just were bringing up, whether it's we're joking or it's serious about gays and about being a tough guy. And, there's guys in this town, like I had a nightclub, Jimmy Catacamo was one of them. And I put the club in his name. And, when I went to jail, he ends up not giving me the money, screws me over. He's still in contact with Gotti. But,
do we break his legs?
Well, I didn't have to. I mean, as soon as he got locked up, he went to Pinellas County, where I was at.
Welcome to the show.
And he jumped right into suicide watch. So he stayed there for 4 months. Yeah, really.
Right.
So I'm trying,
because suicide watch, if he gets in your cell, you're going to break his legs.
He knows I was going to do a lot worse to him. But, so, these guys, I want kids really to know the truth. And that's the idea behind me talking about Ronnie Warnham, or Jimmy Catacamo, or John Gotti Jr., or Johnny Burke. He's another guy that just got a life sentence. But he's one of the first guys. He talks like a tough guy, and he got a life sentence. He did get a life sentence, but he doesn't tell his kids the truth. He was one of the first guys we were paying off in 2001 so we wouldn't rat. He threatened us. He went out. He was here in Citrus County, and he left 2 times prior to grand jury, and he wasn't going to Disney World. So, he went and he tried to cut a deal with the prosecutors. He was in New York doing the same thing with the Eastern District before the rest of the guys flipped. And he's got this, instead of caring about your kids and sending that message. And you remember Angels with Dirty Faces?
Yes.
With Cagney?
Where you go out letting them know the truth.
He pretended that he was crying before they electrocuted him, and Pat O'Brien, who played the priest, asked him to do that. Now, I've asked Johnny Burke, why don't you come forward and tell the truth? You got beat up, and you came to me. Gotti and his brother-in-law baseball bat him. You came to me. You got beat up by the Gabbets. You're in the hospital. I bought your first house for you. I gave you $60,000 to buy a house for your kids because you weren't man enough to man up. And then you're talking stupid, and all you're doing is hurting your children. I changed your kids' diapers. So I want these kids to have a chance at life. Break the cycle.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with me outing a Johnny Burke or a Ronnie One Arm or a Jimmy Catacano. It has to do with, why don't you be real men for once? We had bad lives, all of us. And, be honest about what happened here. You guys were, all of you guys were informants. Either you went into Suicide Watch, or you were a cooperator, or you tried to cooperate. And they do opening statements like Ronnie wanted. Why don't you tell these kids so they don't do what we used to do?
Right. And you don't think that there's anything like I learned the biggest lesson. Not learned a lesson, but I agreed with Bronx Tale with Robert De Niro and Bronx Tale. When you're really you look at that lifestyle that these guys lead, and I think, I know all the cool guys were in my neighborhood, and who the bad guys were, and all that. And then, you're jealous of them because they got money, they got girls, they're driving the nicer cars, but they're all in jail. The kids that were the big time mob guys when I was a kid, they're all the mother goes to jail, the brothers go to jail, everybody goes to jail, and it's going to be a short run for most of them, or they're going to get killed.
Well, you know what it is, Mike. You got a good friend of yours. You get in a car with your friend. And he's not trying to kill you. He's not trying to sleep with your wife. He's not trying to steal your money.
Right.
I mean, this is the reality of that street. I says, and guys talk about loyalty. It's a joke. I mean, I just had an incident recently at a club, and this is going to go on, always. And I was in, I had a couple of drinks. I was by myself. I was in an industrial area, and you have guys that are Albanian that are, supposed to be loyal to me, and the message I'm sending out, and they're hanging out with Serbs, which is especially what goes on with Albanian Serbs. And there's a hero, Ramush, that I talk about in Albania all the time, that fought the war, that he's in jail in Paris. And it's disrespect to guys like him, disrespect to kids that we're trying to help. But they're weak guys.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy took a shot at me, went to he hit me, he punched me on the blind side. And this stuff's going to happen. I says, and I laugh at it because, first of all, the kid can't even hit. I mean, he should be able to knock me out. And, he didn't move me. And, the next thing is somebody said to me, well, why didn't I go outside and finish fighting? And they showed up with 8 or 10 guys or whatever. Yeah. So I said, I didn't have my Superman cape on that day. So I took a dive into the water, and, I said I had my Aquaman suit on. So I made a joke of it because I understand these guys, if they're real serious guys, if you really want to be a gangster, you'll do what I did. You won't come in and punch me in the face. You'll come in and shoot me in the head.
Yeah.
Or you'll come and stab me up.
Yeah.
So this is
like
a
they
guy.
tell you in Goodfellas, when Henry Hill got arrested, he said he knew it was the cops because the cops are the only ones that come up and talk so much crap. The mobsters just shoot you.
Well, yeah, these guys are trying to be something that I already know. If you're a real guy, I came in the club, I'm going to walk out the club.
Right.
You caught me off guard a little bit because I don't really drink and get sloppy. I was drinking. I was alone. I'm in an industrial park. I'm in Queens.
What are you doing alone in a nightclub?
Well, you know what? I tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, and you know this. Guys know I walk around and do whatever I feel like doing. I'm really not worried about getting hit.
Right.
I'm a boxer. I mean, it's almost laughable to get punched. So what? You're in a ring, getting hit 40, 50 times a day, around. So, that I grew up like this. And, if someone's going to kill me, I says, let it be. But guys like the real guys, they just wait for me to come walking out the door.
Yeah.
And they do what they need to do, shoot me. They ain't going to come in like an amateur and punch me. What are we, 12 years old?
Yeah.
So, this is the laughable part of the behavior of guys that are insecure. You turned on your own people. Actually, after it was done, some of the Italians were making fun of them, saying this is a flunky that want to be Italian. So it is laughable because, you're going against your own people. You're not even good at what you do. So, on a show like this, I could tell you, I said, I'd love to get in a ring with him. And he fights so bad, he can bring that Spanish guy he was with.
You fight
so
two of them?
I'll fight the two of them.
Yeah, I gotta put them in the next punch out.
That's an open challenge to two guys that can't fight too well.
We do a punch out every year. You should fight the punch out.
Well, I just did celebrity boxing thing.
Oh, you did?
I didn't do it. Junior wouldn't get in the ring. I asked him.
Oh, you.
So, these guys, listen, really, all the joking and all the stuff is back to the same thing. I'm trying to save a kid's life, not to do what we did.
Right.
And, when these guys are behaving like this, I says, and they, you really want to be a gangster? That means, well, if you want to be a gangster, then, you got to shoot a bullet.
Yeah.
If you want to shoot a bullet, you better be able to go to jail and do that life bid. And if you're not able to do that, stop pretending. Help me teach some kids the right thing. I mean, I got a guy that goes on social media. His name is Salvaggio, I think. Now, this is a guy that talks about Burke. Doesn't even know what he's talking about. Burke was trying to cooperate for anybody. So, but he talks like a tough guy, too. So, I'm around on a constant basis. If you really feel you're so strongly for Burke, put a gun in your hand. Come shoot me.
Yeah.
I says, and
not today. Not till he leaves this building.
Yeah. And do time like a man. But instead, this is I can look at his picture. I don't know the guy.
Right.
And he's a junkie. For sure, he's a mainliner. He's a guy that was shooting up. And I don't have anything issues with that either, because guys have been through, things like that, or things what I've been through. You go to seek help, and again, you try to talk to other kids not to use drugs, and you do something positive. When you do something negative, that's the issue.
That's a very good lesson to teach kids too. Is that these keyboard tough guys, these Twitter guys, and all that, people always there's every once in a while. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. But every once in a while, I like to correct somebody if they have the wrong information. You did this. Well, I didn't. And if you want to talk to me about it, I'll talk to you. If I ever see you out, that's my favorite. If I ever see you, if you ever see me, first of all, I'm in the same hole 20 hours a week. Right. Every day I'm right here for 11 years now. I'm out with the band. I'm out doing appearance. You could actually go find my schedule of where I am. So now you know the difference between.
Well, I post everywhere I'm at.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, you got children. I have children, and the idea is to move the children in a positive direction. Right. Do something what you're doing, whether I like what you say or don't say. You giving people opportunities. Well, come on. I mean, just like Gotti. I mean, why do you have these puppets running around? Like he's got an attorney that I just filed some ethic papers against, Elio Forcina. And this is an attorney who went to school, so he's somewhat educated supposedly, and he's running around as a gopher for Gotti. So don't you have any self-respect?
Yeah.
I mean, look at what you're doing. You got a talk show host of he was a homeless guy that was doing mob talk. He had about 10 or 12 videos up against the Gottis, and some articles that he wrote against the Gottis, and he took them all down because Gotti started paying him a couple $100 a week. This is what he does. He gets guys like this to flunky around for him, and it's a media campaign thing that I guess he has the time and money, but if to waste on some of these people, and
sure.
He uses them as as he's controlling as a puppet master.
I love to see this side of her. This is John Alite. He is a former bad guy, now a good guy. He did his time. He did his time in a Brazilian prison too, which I can never imagine what that'd be like.
Well, they did that. They did a video about that too. Again, Casparosa with this kid that first off, if he any kind of he ruined any chances of being a journalist. Obviously, somebody looks at him, any kind of your guy's show, anybody who's going to hire a guy that behaves like this. So,
right.
You're done in the media world. By being a flunky and doing some of this nonsense that you do, and it's all negative. There's nothing positive coming out of your mouth. So when they do this, but anybody that really wants to look up the jail and take time to look at, not my word, go into the archives, go into the computers and look at these jails, and then you can give me your opinion of it.
Hey, listen, I'm good. You could have said Bahamas jail. I would have still been impressed.
I saw a documentary about Brazilian prison where there's it's built for whatever, say 20 guys, and they have 90 people living in there, and like one guy runs the thing and makes everybody else mop up and do stuff.
Well, they paid a guy Marco De Pinto, whatever his name is, and this is a guy I sent 700 and something thousand to, and he took it. The same guy I saved when he was in prison, he was going to get raped in prison. They had him. He used to run around with the Bible, and and listen, I believe in God. But this is a guy that abused religion, the Bible. He cried all day. Came home, and he's doing videos for the Gottis that are like, it looks like 2 7-year-olds are doing a video like that. So, it's almost, you got to look at it and say, where are these guys' heads at this point? I forgot about the 700,000, to be honest with you. That's my past. I talk about the past and say it's my past. Here's my present. Here's my future.
You got a good outlook. You got to, you stay calm. But I would be furious about all these things.
Well, listen, like anything else, I just did a show, a midday show, and I was talking. My therapist was on the show with me, and they asked me, like, when guys do this, what's your first reaction? In my mind, the same reaction. I want to go kill him. I mean, and the difference between me or Gotti or like one of these guys is they'd have to hire somebody.
Yeah, you won't get somebody to go do. You'll go
call
smack
myself.
a guy. Yeah.
Hold on, and dial my own number.
John, I need you to do a job for me. All right, John, I got you covered. Yeah.
But I'm a different guy, and they want a reaction from me. I know what they want.
Right,
they want that reaction. They're hoping they could get me locked up. I mean, they've called my judge. I'm off parole. They called my parole officer. His sisters called everybody, said I'm homicidal, that she's going to sue anybody if I kill her brother. They, Gotti had this other kid put up some things saying I'm going to kill him. And, he uses his lawyer to, send papers in against me all over.
Is he afraid of you?
Oh, he's petrified of me. Everybody knows that.
Right, but does he think that you're going to come?
I think he really believes that I'm going to come kill him.
Get him.
I really do believe that. But he's not, this guy's not, he's a guy, what we say, that when you walk through his life, he was a faker.
Right.
He never really did anything. As a kid, he stabbed a kid from behind, he killed him. And, they were 16, 17. I wasn't there at the time, but all our friends were there. Now, he debriefs and he talks about this when he had Queen of the Day. So this is a guy that put every one of our friends at that location in open homicide. He's the same guy that was going to open up the Bronx House of Detention. He talks about it in his 302s, which what they are. They're cooperating.
Right, the papers, yeah.
So, he talks about opening jails to put our comrades at the time, our guys, family,
put them all away,
put them in and make money off.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about this stuff. So it's you got to say to yourself, what is this guy thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, he
was in panic because he didn't run anything. His father was the guy.
Listen,
and then when it's on him, he's like, oh, he can't handle that.
He exploits his father. You can love your father. I've said this 100 times. That's no problem. You exploit your father. You blame him for your life, but yet you keep trying to make money off his name.
Yeah.
I said, so take a position. Be a man. Look in the mirror. And people ask me why won't he stop with you? I said, I never really, I can't figure it out. I don't know what direction he's trying to go. But then somebody said something really pretty smart to me the other day. He says he wants to be you. And I think, really what I think is he looks in the mirror, he's not happy.
You're probably right. Because if you would ask me who looks more like they should be, I don't just mean physical appearance, who acts like it, who's got the real balls to back it up, you would be more the guy. I bet you if the father had a choice to who runs things, you'd be the guy he'd pick over his own son.
Yeah, the truth is his father used to go to Florida with me with different people. He'll say the father doesn't know me and not in pictures. I mean, you've seen 100 pictures. You guys know. I says, but, there's people that are alive, legitimate women that, still friends with me that were with me and his father in Florida. They were with us in area clubs, his father, on boats. When we got locked up, we had his boat not guilty back in 89. Gotti Jr. was with me at the time. His father would go on those boats and tell us not to tell his son. He wanted to be a single, run around.
Sure.
He was annoyed. The father was actually fun to go hang out with.
You couldn't do that in front of your own kid.
No,
though.
you can't do it. Right. So he wouldn't bring him on a lot of this stuff. Now, his daughters and whoever else in the family, it's not like these guys, they have any knowledge of what happened in the mob. I mean, I know they do a lot of talking and social media stuff, which is kind of ridiculous to me that John doesn't say to him, hey, you're embarrassing me.
I don't know. I think they're so used to embarrassing each other after all these years that they don't. When the daughter had the TV show, the most embarrassing thing were those stupid kids that she had, which I should not say because they could probably all beat me up now. But back then with the hair and the attitudes and all that, I was like, oh, you little punks.
Yeah, because they're raising
because their father's in jail.
They're raising, my kids, I tell my kids, if somebody says, and people do say things to my kids tell them straight, exactly what I said. Hey, that's not my life. Yeah. We're legitimate guys. We don't get involved. Like, go kill my father if you have a problem. They say it, and I don't have a problem with them saying it. They're nice kids that go to work, and I'm proud of them for that. And this is what I'm.
You seem like a good father. I seen pictures on your Facebook with the kids.
I love my children, and I try to tell. And again, I'll keep passing the same message to any street guy, any wise guy, anybody that's selling drugs, any gang member. If you have children, do you want me to talk to them, or do you want another street guy influence them to go out and sell drugs and kill people? There's positive things in life. Unfortunately, we had negative past. But that doesn't mean our present future can't be positive.
Yeah, you've been through a lot. You want to have the second half of your life maybe be a little more peaceful.
I'm trying, but everybody looks at me like I'm holding the title, so they think they got to prove something and try to go, hit me or hurt me, and they think I lose any sleep over it. Over that next incident, the next day I'm back in Queens, I'm back in the neighborhood. I live in Jersey,
right?
So I tell everybody my address is well known. I put it out there. I'm in Freehold. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody basically knows where they can find me. I drive a convertible, so it's not like I'm hiding from anybody. If they want to be serious killers, I mean, I guess they can take a shot at me.
Let me ask you, how often are you here in Tampa?
I'm in Tampa a lot.
A lot, okay.
Yeah, I'm off parole, so I'm back in.
Who do I have to worry about? Who runs Tampa? You can say it.
I'll tell you how you know I can.
I wasn't giving you permission.
I'll tell you what, it's definitely not Duke Mandel. That's what we talked about last.
I forgot about Duke. Yeah,
I actually hit that button.
Right.
He's real paranoid from what I hear about seeing me, but these guys really don't get it. I let it go.
Yeah.
You know, I really don't have a problem seeing the guy either. I says,
so if Duke is listening, what is he out Lakeland or wherever he is? If he said you and John are cool, John wants to come on have a drink with you and bury things, you'd be cool.
The last couple of times I was out here, I actually went in his club, and people, they all know me around here. So they said, he's in the office, he ain't gonna come out. I'm like, just tell him I want to have a drink.
Yeah.
I says he could come out, it's fine. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm a different. Listen, my life's on a different path. He knows what he did with me. I brought this guy in, made him a lot of money. And, he testified against me. He screwed me over in different ways. I have no idea why he did it.
Right.
I mean, I'm just curious more than anything if he would just answer that question. Like most of these guys. Like, you put a guy like Jimmy Catacama went to a nightclub, and he's in the neighborhood getting beat up, and people threaten him. Now, you bring him out here. He tells everybody he's your cousin. He's making millions. He's driving a Lamborghini. And he tells guys if they come looking for him, he's going to testify against me like everybody else.
Yeah.
And he's an informant, too, by the way. I mean, this is a guy that got 8 years for second-time felon with a gun. That alone is 5 years. And then you did all, drug dealing, home invasions with me. You're supposed to get, 10, 12, 15 years on a plea.
So if you got 8 years, you gave something
I know
up.
what he did.
Yeah.
These guys are, but more so than that, they're not even men when they go to prison. He goes into suicide watch and
you just sit in your cell all day.
All day with screens on you and you're crying all day. And that's okay. Also, I talk about Gotti's nephew who's crying all day, admitted to being a drug dealer, drug addict, all the things that supposedly they don't do. That's fine. I mean, it's human nature, but don't talk so much like a tough guy. Don't put other people down. Teach, somebody something positive. That family made this kid ruin his life. He's going to get 20, 30, how many years, who knows, because he's facing other charges now for bank robbery and arson. And that directly is on the family, the Gotti family, what they're teaching these children. Teach them something. They teach them that this life is a dead end.
Don't you think you guys can make a ton of money if Gotti were to come to you and go, hey, you know what? You're right. The way you're running your life right now, you're right. We made a lot of bad mistakes together, and the two of you came out and did like a speaking tour together. You make tons of cash.
Mike, I offered him.
Yeah.
I offered to shake his hand and just let the past go. There's guys that tried to kill me in the past, right, that took shots at me, were indicted for attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder. I talked to him. I'm not the same guy. I got to let that stuff go.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll be out every day trying to hurt and kill guys again.
You can't live a happy life like that.
And it's not what people think. I got 100 guys out there that still do things for me.
Yeah.
And, people have this impression that I'm alone, and I'm not. I have a ton of guys that'll do anything I used to like before.
Right. You're just not doing that.
I don't want it. I don't have to personally do anything anymore. But I just don't want that life.
I got Spanish. He'll do whatever I need him to do.
That's why I didn't trust him behind me.
Yeah, that's right. He's watching you. Yeah. No, but so back to my question: Who's running Tampa? Like, who do I need to be afraid of?
I don't think you
anybody.
Really nah.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of quiet down.
What's a big business? Drugs down here still? Strip clubs?
Drugs is always going to be the business.
Right.
I mean,
I got nothing to do with drugs.
These strip clubs, and I'm looking to open another club down here. Actually,
that's a good idea.
I've owned 4 clubs down here, so over the years.
Which ones are yours?
I owned American Cowboy with
Cam.
Yeah.
I thought you meant strip club.
No, I own regular places. I own Mirage, Moet, Stampedes with Duke.
Yeah,
I'm the one that put him into business.
Come on, John, we're ready. Open up a new club for the love of God.
I'm looking to open up a country club.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'll definitely opening up this year.
You only got 2. You got Roundup and Dallas Bull.
Dallas Bull's been there forever,
right?
And they do a great business. They're great operators. Those guys.
I love you got the mobbiest mob guy in here talking about opening up a country bar.
Yeah,
the hell do you
country.
know about? You don't.
Hey, listen, I swear I used to open up when we opened up Stampedes. I only knew one dance, and so I used to go with my suit and tie. I look like Joe Pesci from My Cousin Vinny.
Big lapels.
Guys
would
laugh. Yeah. I had a couple little moves there, and everybody would laugh, and then I get off the dance floor.
Oh, that's Don Cartwright over there.
But I actually love country music. I'm a big country fan.
That's so funny to me. All right, so really nobody's my thing was back in I used to be a bouncer in Ybor City, and I was watching the VIP room, and I had strict orders from the owner. Nobody goes upstairs in the VIP room unless they go. So this guy came in one time. What's that guy's name? Owns all the clubs out on. The guy used to live in Atlanta. Anyway, I forgot his name, but this guy came in and he.
Steve Kaplan?
No, he had a God. It'll hit me in a second. He's like, I'm going to the VIP. I'm with this guy. I'm like, no, you're not. You can't go. He's like, I work for this guy. I'm like, I don't care. I work for another guy. He told me not to let anybody upstairs. And we got into a whole fight. And I ended up throwing the guy out by his face. And then a couple of minutes later, people were like, that's the wrong guy. And I'm like, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I got to go. And I have to have a meeting and apologize to the guy. And I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this anymore. I don't want to have to do that. So there's nobody I have to worry about. I say knocking out, but I haven't hit anybody in 10 years.
Well, you're a big guy, so if you hit somebody, listen, if you would have hit me the way that guy did the other day,
yes.
he completely blindsided me.
Right. I better at least knock you out if I hit you in the jaw.
He didn't even give me a black eye, so I'm saying, this guy ain't no fighter.
Right.
I said, you better find a new job. I said, so, you got to, honestly, I said, some of this stuff is what we're talking about. At this age, you really want to go out and have a problem?
No.
Of course not.
If I have kids, I'm an old man now. My biggest fear is getting beat up by a high school kid. Because when I was in high school, I know I can kick some of my friends' fathers' ass.
When we were in high school, we were respected.
Right.
This generation is a little different.
Yeah, I don't want to be like in an argument. Some kid get out of his car and beat me up. So I stay cool. But let me run these things by you. I have a couple of test things. Right. If a guy if we're nose to nose and it looks like it might happen, my move is the smack to the face. Because if I smack you in the face and you don't come back, if you smack me in the face, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, right.
And if you don't come back at me right away, or if you give me why did you do that? I already won. I hit you and you didn't do anything. I already won. Right. We were golfing one time and a guy hit a ball at us. And we went over there to confront them and it got in an argument. I took a guy's hat off and I threw it in the corner. And my buddy Pete goes, why would you do that? I go, because what would you do if I threw you? He goes, I kill you. I go, yeah, that guy didn't want to kill anybody. He didn't want to fight. That was my little test to see what was going on.
He figured you had that golf club, too.
Yeah, I got that golf club. I had 4 monsters behind me. I wasn't worried about anything. Yeah, but that's a good gauge. If you smack a guy in the face, that's a good gauge.
It's definitely a good gauge.
Yeah, because I'm telling you right now, you're way cooler than I am. I don't want to fight anybody, but a guy punches me in a nightclub, and I'm going to hit him with whatever I could grab. I'm going to kill everybody in the room. Yeah.
Well, you know what? When someone hits you, right? Usually, if a guy hits you the way that guy did with me,
you laugh it off.
Yeah, and they're afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, you get it. They come in with, if you really, like I said, if you're a tough guy, if you really want to be that gangster, you don't hit me at all. You just come in and stab the shit.
You got it. You caught it. Yeah.
You stab me, you shoot me, or you wait for me to come out and do it.
You been stabbed before?
Yeah.
How bad is that?
Didn't feel that good.
No, where were you stabbed?
In the stomach and in the head.
Oh, in the head?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like in the skull?
Actually put an ice pick. Well, you know what? My jaw, kind of got a little swollen when the guy did hit me.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that did happen. But that's the jaw I broke, and that's the jaw I got stabbed in.
You already had a pre-existing
I got stabbed with an ice
condition.
pick in the head, yeah.
In the jaw?
Yeah.
Oy.
So, I'm used to it. I mean, I've been baseball batted before.
Right.
I was a baseball player, and then somebody used me as the ball. So,
but you played here, right? You played at Tampa.
Yeah, University of Tampa.
Yeah.
So, this stuff happens. It's part of being in the street. That's why people ask me, like, what'd you do? I said, I went to breakfast. In the morning. They're like, where? I said, right there in the neighborhood in Ridgewood. And they go, you kidding me? I go, no, there's a diner right on Merrill Avenue. I go there all the time. It's not like it's something that, like, oh, geez, it was a big deal to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what it is. It's part of my life. And then, the thing is, people saying, well, you're going to go get them. They asked me to say,
right, you're going to go find them now.
And I was laughing. I says, listen, I'm different. But, I hope I don't wake up on the wrong side of the bed one day. I guess. I don't know. I says,
what would you have done back in the day? What would have happened? So you got these Albanians, they hang out at the corner store, where they are.
Well, I'm Albanian, so, to me it was more of an insult.
Why would you do that to your own people, yeah?
Because there's weak guys through history in every culture, right? Yeah. And, when you do that, and it was, to me, social media was kind of funny because somebody heard something from somewhere down the line. The kid Chris Casper or whatever it is, that never got into a fight in his life, made some stupid comment. I mean, I kind of laugh at him and say, you got the wrong guy. There ain't nothing wrong with getting hit.
Right.
I mean, this is life. I says, but, especially from a guy that sneaks you and basically runs away. So when they said, well, he dove in the water, I made a joke of it, saying I didn't have my Superman cape on, These guys are out there with guns, knives, bats. What are you supposed to do? But
your therapy really worked.
Yeah,
because I would be. Nah,
you know what? You know how I look at it? Listen,
you're doing it's the right thing. Like I'm looking at you like I'm impressed.
But I wasn't really a reaction guy even in my past.
That's
past.
Smart.
I waited 9 years to kill one guy. I waited 6 years for other 5 years. The street teaches you one thing, and so does prison. And it teaches you patience.
Yeah.
So there is no time frame. It doesn't. Most guys that react in a day or two, those are the guys that are still in jail right now doing life.
Now, who is this guy with you?
That's my bodyguard that they said I needed. My bodyguard. No, we grew up together.
Is he worried about getting stabbed?
No,
because they might not. They're like, hey, Elite doesn't want to fight him. Well, let's kill his friend.
No, he's a pretty tough guy.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Guy doesn't smile. Relax. I'm just making jokes.
Listen, he's he's from the street. He grew up on Whitney and Jamaica Avenue. He's a tough guy and he's a big guy, obviously, but he's a nice guy, and that's the thing, right? You said guys that are humble, quiet, those are the guys you got to worry about.
Right. Oh, I know. That's my dad used to always tell me, don't mess with the little guys because they're crazy, and then the quiet guys.
Well, years ago, I got into a problem with two guys get out of the car, and they were going to Atco Raceway. It's like a famous place in Jersey where I race cars, where I live. And I jump out of the car. They jump out of the car. One guy's a monster. He's like 6'7". The other guy's 6'5". And
when you get out of the car, you're like, oh, man.
Well, no, I look at him, and I said to him, you guys got to see I'm not intimidated. So the guy looks at me, and I open my jacket a little bit, and I had a pistol there. And I laughed. I said, now, for you guys, I definitely need this. So, and he actually joked with me. He was a kind of cool guy, actually. He was a laid-back guy. And this is in the height of when I was real, dangerous, and I was doing a lot of things. And, the guy became my friend, believe it or not. He invited me to the races, and I end up going to the races.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it was, listen. You meet some guys like, originally I met Frankie Burke, Jimmy Burke.
Jimmy Burke, yeah.
I met his son, Frankie, who became one of my best friends before he died, through a fight.
Right.
We got into a little confrontation, didn't know each other. Became best friends after that. So
that happens, yeah.
So sometimes, and there's guys that in the past that I've shot, and they're friends of mine, and
you're like, hey, remember that time you shot me? We're good now. We're good.
I don't know if I could get to that point, but some of them but seriously, you have a mutual respect, and your life's going different directions, and their lives change like mine, and again, you're trying to set some examples for kids. So while I'm doing these talks and these programs, and I gotta lead by example, right?
Well, hey, look, I'm very impressed. If I were you, I'd be a ball of anger and fire, and I'd want to kill everybody. So I'm glad that you're mellow, and that you really do. You give people a new look on the way things should be. I mean, those mob guys, like I said, it didn't fail. All those guys I was jealous of, even my buddy Pete. My buddy and Pete and I grew up in Tampa together, and we were dirt poor. We lived in a one bedroom. We shared stuff. We used to play foosball to see who got the bed and who got the couch. It was miserable. We didn't have a pot to piss in. But all the other guys who were driving Mercedes and all that stuff, selling drugs on the side, they all went to jail. They all have nothing now. They all married fat girls. It's entirely different. Yeah.
Well, and all their friends, where are they? When they go to jail, they don't even send them 50 cents.
Nothing, yeah.
So people really don't realize my legitimate friends, guys like my friend behind me, Mike, they're my real friends. They've been with my friends for years, and since we're babies. I mean, 40 years, more than 47 years actually.
Yeah.
And those are the guys that'll always be there for you, to look out for you. No matter what happened, they'll stand by you. And those are true friends. They're not going to shoot you in the back of the head when you're in the car. And there's guys that just they set their best friends up, literally their best friends, and kill them.
Yeah.
That's what that life's about. And the people that think that life's not about that, they're mistaken. They don't understand the life.
Oh, man. Well, I'm glad you got out.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping you open this club. I want you to open up a new club here.
No, I'll definitely be open. And, I'm busy. Obviously I'm doing some movies and books. And, so I'm busy with all that and the entertainment stuff. But I'm definitely opening a club.
They should have you do more movies, because you really do have that good mob movie look. And, there's a big difference between the real life and the... Gotti was one of the good-looking guys, but the rest of them are a bunch of fat Italian pigs. So you got the good look.
Well, Senior had that. He did have that, charisma.
Yeah, he had the nice suits. He had the hair. He did it right.
So he did have that look. I guess that's what made him popular in the media, and he had some short one-liners that carried over, and resonated into whatever they developed.
Plus, he was a hero to the neighborhood, where he lived.
I mean, listen, people see only one part of us.
Right.
If they seen the part, they wouldn't like us too much.
Yeah.
I mean, because they don't see the violence. It's just TV to them. It's radio, and they don't get it. So it's the thing. The difference is when you're actually there, or somebody in their family's involved, and You know, it was a guy I shot 25 years ago. He testified down here against me. I shot him in the chest, Mike Lavigny. He came down to Tampa. And I said, wow, this guy held a grudge. I'm thinking, you know, if somebody shot me for 25 years ago in the chest, I mean, you know.
You shot him in the chest, he didn't die?
No, he's a big guy. He was kind of like you.
Yeah?
Yeah, he was a big
I think
guy.
one will take me in the chest.
I mean, listen, he's got to be open to, you know, listen, honestly, he was a guy that was a bully. He was a drunk.
Right.
You know, and if he's honest about his past, I don't know what he feels
It's
like
like he
now.
probably deserved it.
Yeah, well, he really kind of did.
Yeah.
Not that somebody deserves to get shot and almost killed, but, you know, he hit a lot of guys. He hit a doctor, and that's what was over. He ended up hitting a doctor, and he wouldn't move his car, and that's really what started the movement against him.
Yeah.
And
so you came down here. Where was he when you shot him in the chest?
no, not down here. I shot
up
him
there?
in New York, but he came down here to testify in the trial.
Where was he up there? Like, where do you go to his house? Where do you get him?
No, I got him at a club that we had called Protocols, and 2 cops that were on the payroll, they ran it. And when I shot him, they both looked at me like, you know, they were mad at me, and I'm like, not for shooting him,
right.
just for shooting him in that club. So I started dragging him out.
Yeah.
You know, I says, oh, is that what your problem is? Drag him out to the front of the street. So, you know.
You wasted 5 aprons on this guy. That's hilarious. Listen, I love having you on the air.
Yeah.
If there's anything you need from us, you're welcome to come on. I love talking to you. The people love hearing the stories.
Thank you.
As soon as I tweeted out that you were going to be here today, everybody was like, oh, I remember that guy from last time. This is great.
I'd like to tell you 2 things before we end.
Please do.
I got a manager, Mike Calta. He wrote a book called Confessions of an Inside Trader. He's my manager. He's also the one that's doing my next book with me called Prison Rules with another guy, Nick. And that should be out. Yeah,
that's a good.
It's actually about, you know, stuff that you guys were talking about. You know, what happens emotionally, physically, mentally with yourself, jail system, what it is to first be stripped down and bent over and checked and prog that and you know, that aspect, and what happens to your family, your kids, mob guys or any criminals that are involved with your organization, how they don't stand by you. We talk about guards and therapists and different people that have been locked up, like Mike Douglas'
guards good
son.
to you?
You know what the problem is? I talked about it the other day on one of the shows that you get some of these guards like anything else. They're insecure, and then you got some secure guys. So the ones that are insecure, those are the guys eventually, if they're in a business for 20, 30 years, somebody will put it to them. I says, they think they're going to get away with it. There's always going to be that one guy you know, that'll hurt you and, you know, maybe kill you. And that happens, and they forget where they're at.
My dad was a guard at Rikers.
Oh, was he? So he's seen a lot of action.
He's seen a lot of action. He's got a lot of broken bones. He's got a lot of, but my dad was never, if people are like, oh, was your dad one of those guys on the take? I don't think so, because we never had any money. I would imagine my dad doesn't gamble, he doesn't do drugs. So
was your dad big like you?
Yeah, he's a monster.
So, you know, a guy like him, he'll come, and, you know, especially just being a nice guy and forceful, like I was telling guys, some guys will tell you, hey, do me a favor, pick that up and throw it in the garbage, whatever, you'll do it. When you got a guy that's talking to you, like downgrading you and, you know, degrading you, and they tell you in a different way, you're going to tell them, go F yourself. You're not going to do it.
That's what he says, too. He goes, I treated everybody with respect. He had the guy, I can't remember the guy's name, that Denzel played.
Hurricane Carter.
No, that's the boxer. No, the other guy.
Bumpy Johnson.
Oh, God, that sounds more right. The one with
American Gangster?
Yeah, American Gangster.
Yeah, Bumpy Johnson, yeah.
He had that guy for a while, and he's like, oh, he goes, he was so nice. He'd be polite. He'd call me sir and yes. He goes, so I was good to him. He's like, I'm not worried about what he did before. I got to worry about what he does in here. And as long as they're polite and good in here, that's we treat them the same way.
Well, those guys work with us. I mean, Nicky Barnes was one of the big guys that were involved with us and moving heroin. We were moving heroin inside. You know, actually, I had the guys that were moving heroin for me inside Rikers. So I had a guard. He's dead. And excuse me. So he would move the heroin for us. And Nicky Barnes was the one that testified against Mark Ryder that is doing a double life sentence.
See, I wish my dad would have moved some heroin. Would have had a nicer house. Yeah. Would have been a nicer car or something.
Well, you're doing all right for yourself.
Yeah, I'm fine now.
You keep having kids,
saying.
I don't know. You're going to have to get a second job.
No, I'm done now. We tied that up real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that book's going to come out, and then what else? There was something.
I got a movie coming out, Perfect Gangster, that'll be coming out. It's in Europe now, actually. It's backed by every major television program.
And what's it? Is it about you?
It's about me. This part of it is, and it's in Albania, and you know, I guess you know I'm pretty proud of my heritage. Being Albanian, I talk about it a lot, and you know, I talk about Ramush, that you know, he was the prime minister in Kosovo, and to me, he's a hero, and I talk about him a lot, and guys like him, and you know, an ex-gangster that is doing 30 years, Alex Rudash. I look at these guys, and to me, they were guys that took on what most people won't take on because they're alone.
Right.
And really, I'm hoping I plug in Ramush that he gets out and they free him. He deserves to be freed. He was nothing but a hero. He's not a guy that should be in prison by any country.
And who has to do it? The people have to, like,
well, Paris has him.
Oh, Paris
has him, and I have no idea what they're doing with him. And, I talk a lot about, getting voice behind it and freeing him. This is a guy that sacrificed his family, sacrificed his life. He lost brothers in the war. And, I'm hoping that the Albanians come out and speak more, on his behalf the way he came and gave his life for us. So,
wow, that's great. You can move back over there and take over the whole country.
Yeah, you know what? I'd love to go. I'm going back there.
Right.
But I'd love to go back there, and I'd love to see. And I've done a political show on Big Albania, where it's one major country and not in different regions and sections. And that documentary will be out in a couple of months. Also, I've done a lot of stuff that'll
Good
be out.
Good for you, man. All right, now I got to go find what perfect gangster.
Perfect gangster.
All right, I got to go look. I got to look on the balls box. See if we can track it down.
Yeah, some
we'll
trailers
find
will be out in the next couple of weeks, actually.
All right, good. So, pleasure to have you back here.
It was great to have you.
John Alite, John Alite, John Alieto, John Alite, whatever you want to call him. He's legit, and you're a great guest on the show, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. I'd like to say hello to Duke again for you guys. And
I'm gonna arrange a meeting. I haven't seen him. If I run him at the Hard Rock every once in a while.
I love you to invite him on the show and ask him some questions. What happened?
I'll be like, Duke, he can't kill you if
he's
in the studio.
He used to joke that he was my underboss.
Hey, that's not such a bad position at the time.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take a break. It is the Mike Calta Show. Ian Beckel's doing it at 9 o'clock. It's 102.5 The Bone.
The Mike Calta Show on 102.5 The Bone. 102.5 The Bone is a place for everybody. So while you're busy boycotting everything because of Trump or whatever, we'll be over here welcoming everybody. Except Nickelback. Can't welcome them.